Okay.
Good morning. I would like to start my story concerning more about faith and trust. I've been a Christian my whole life, as far back as I can remember. And you always say you have a lot of faith in God, but do you really? And I guess I've had a few tests in my life, but the biggest one came in the early 80s. I was working at Caterpillar in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I loved my job. I'd been there a couple of years. I was an entry-level bookkeeper. Hadn't finished school yet, so that's the best I could do. But I had been recently divorced, so I was striving to be able to finish my education and raise my 3 little boys. I had an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old at the time. I was assigned to the oil division at Caterpillar, and I liked it. Petroleum is big in Tulsa, oil capital of the world at that time, so it looked like I had a pretty good future, and I was hoping to finish school and raise a little higher in my position at that company. I was assigned to an oil field division that had a boss that had a very good reputation. I was glad to go to his department, but I soon found out that he particularly requested me for his department. I guess I was flattered, but I found out quickly that he had ulterior motives and not very nice. Now, he was twice my age, and being his little girlfriend was unappealing to me on so many levels, but to a 28-year-old, he was an old man, married, 2 kids. I didn't need that in my life, and I became very frightened of him because I needed that job. OPEC was beginning to form. Petroleum was dying down, and Tulsa was pretty much doomed in that particular field. Things were folding up, moving to Houston, but I didn't see any point in going to Houston. OPEC is OPEC, and he'll destroy us no matter where we're located, so I refused the transfer. Meanwhile, my boss just tried to encourage me by telling me my job was safe. I just had to take care of him. He would take care of me and my children, and I couldn't. I was never tempted to take him up on his offer. What gripped me was the fear of losing my job with no real options anywhere. I mean, minimum wage just wasn't going to get it for me, and that's almost all that was available at that time period. So I was terrified. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, scared out of my mind. And yes, I prayed, but empty prayers, I guess. I don't know. I can't explain that part. I prayed, but I didn't really see answers. One particular night, I fell asleep, and I was having bad dreams anyway. I think it was my conscience bothering me, but I prayed before I fell asleep so hard to at least take the bad dreams away. Let me get a decent night's sleep. Well, I was answered. Somewhere in the night, I had a dream. And it was a nice dream. I had the 3 boys at a local park. They were just playing around like kids do. And I happened to look up in the sky, and I saw a long white streak of clouds, billowing pretty clouds. And all of a sudden, they took motion and came around and just came to the park. And it turned into a train, of all things. I was amused, but my children, all 3 boys, were thrilled. They ran to this train with such gusto, saying, "Mom, Mom, come on, this is God, and He's taking us to heaven." And here I am. I'm not going to succumb to the temptation at work, therefore I won't ever be able to feed my kids. I mean, I felt so scared for them that I said, go. Go with God. At least He loves you, and He'll take good care of you. I'm not worthy, so just go. Of course, they're crying, and, "Mom, you have to come. We don't want to go without you." And it's ripping my heart out. And about that time, a booming voice came out of nowhere, in my head, of course, that said, "Chris," called me by name, "Chris, the only one stopping you is you." And with that loud command, I woke up. I sat straight up in bed. I was shaking uncontrollably, sweat, crying like crazy. And yet, when I did calm down after rethinking it all, none of my reaction was out of fear. I didn't have any fear in me. It was gone. It was more of a reaction of I guess, God caring enough to tell me to wake up, get busy, get off my feet, and do something. I felt so empowered and so strengthened that after dropping the kids off at school, I went to work, and I went straight to that awful boss. And I said, I know the layoffs are starting today. I want to be first. I want to be top of the list, first one out the door, and I want it today. Get my paperwork ready. He said, well, now, Chris, you need to reconsider. And I said, today, I want to be the first one out the door. And I proceeded to my desk, gathered up my things, and I left. On the drive back to my house, of course, one voice is going, you idiot, why did you say anything? But the other voice was saying, you're doing the right thing. And I just trusted God. For that moment, I had to trust God. I had no choice. I got home, and just in the quiet, I just started thinking, praying. All of a sudden, my phone rings within 4 hours of walking out of that office. I had another job. A good enough offer that they paid my tuition for the next 2 years, and I graduated from college, and certainly paid me enough to take care of my kids, and that's what led one job to the next to bringing me to Texas. That was in 1989. So I was very blessed. I made the right decision. But what I really realized quite a few years later, because that was quite a few years ago, I realized that looking back, I was never without a job again. I never missed even one day of employment as long as I wanted to be employed. I retired 2 years ago and I'm still employed. So I have been so very blessed by stepping out in faith. I can't speak for anyone else. All I know is what Jesus did for me is He made me prove my faith, and I did. And He rewarded me so richly by allowing me to pursue the rest of my own dreams in employment. He had a path for me to follow, and I followed it. Didn't always like it, but I did. But my point is, He made sure I never worried about a job again. And I'm so very thankful. So all I can say to you is, when the chips are down and you're fearful, please look to God. Step out in faith. Run after that train. I did, and I was very blessed. That's it. Thank you.